Thank you, everyone. We'll keep it brief, but Aura Energy, we're in Mauritania, we're in northeast Mauritania, and the image behind on the screen is one of our exploration camps, and we really are in the middle of the Saharan desert. But despite the remote location, we get very, very good support from our Mauritanian hosts. We'll get through that. It's a quick snapshot. Aura's main focus is on the Tiris Uranium Project in northeast Mauritania. We also have a very large polymetallic project in central Sweden, and the government in Sweden is actually in the process of lifting the uranium mining ban, so we should see some opportunity with that asset. Share price is starting to respond to a strengthening uranium sentiment and the work we're doing to advance the project in Mauritania. Good shareholders, reasonable cash balance, and market capitalisation is starting to show the fruits of the labour of the team that we're doing. So Africa, why are we there? Why do a lot of us come back more frequently? In my view, is the opportunity to discover deposits. It's, as many of the speakers have said before, it's underexplored. There are very, very good deposits to be found. We believe we've found one in Mauritania for uranium. And for Mauritania, we get very good support from the government. Our Minister, Honourable Minister Thiam, apologises for not being here. We've got the Mauritanian Mining Conference, Mauritanians, starting on Monday. So his requirement to be there and make sure that conference goes smoothly took him away from coming here. He was planning to come here. Great support. Good encouragement from the government, getting licences and approvals and facilitating the development is no problems. We'll briefly touch on uranium, but we won't spend too long. But, nuclear power has a very big, important role in the energy transition. The rest of the world sees it outside of Canberra. And there is a big build-out in nuclear power capacity, particularly from China. Strong support from the US, and we're starting to see the tech companies come in and take positions in nuclear power to support their data centre requirements, which require a lot of energy. And we're starting to see the commercialisation of the small modular nuclear reactors, which I think, in terms of being able to distribute nuclear power globally, it's going to be a very important thing. So on the right, you see the supply-demand curve. That's the sort of supply-demand curve a miner likes to see. Big deficits in supply, big increases in demand, and we've seen supply is hard. We've seen the two biggest uranium producers in the world, Cameco and Kazatomprom, recently downgrade their production forecasts. Ramp up's difficult, so we're not actually seeing the supply response at the current pricing level, and the current pricing level is pretty good. But we think that pricing level will be well supported into the future with this sort of global demand for nuclear energy and hence uranium. A snapshot. The uranium industry is pretty centralised. There's 5 or so countries produce 85% of the uranium in the world. There's some 3 countries or 4 countries that consume most of the uranium, being US, China and Europe. We're ideally situated in Mauritania. Africa's got a long history of uranium mining, particularly in Namibia and more recent Niger, which is sort of coming off a little bit at the moment. But we think we can position Mauritania as one of the next uranium provinces. Our initial project, Tiris Project, is just the start. We think there's significant prospectivity to really develop numerous mines in Mauritania that will make it a good jurisdiction to develop and export uranium. So let's have a look at Mauritania. We're up in the northeast corner. Mauritania's got, it's got a long mining history. It's got a state-owned, 80% state-owned iron ore company. SNIM's been operating for 50 years. First Quantum's been there for 30 years. Tasiast gold mine, run by Kinross, has been there for 20 years. They're developing offshore gas reserves with BP. And in terms of uranium, we'll be the first uranium mine, but there's very, very strong legislation put in place in preparation for our mine. They've been members of the IEA. They're testing the legislation, testing the processes and protocols, and they are ready as soon as we can get in development. They really want us to get in development quickly. And, you know, there's an area licensed in the port to hold Class 7 material, which is the yellowcake product. We'll truck it from the site down to Nouakchott, that's the capital, and then we've got a contract with Orano Logistics, which are the biggest transporter of radioactive materials in the world, to take it out of the port and up via Tangiers to the markets in Europe or US or China. Just a snapshot of the project. It's currently, as it stands, is a 25-year project producing circa 2 million pounds a year. It's got very strong economics, you know, NPV of $500 million, 39% IRR, 2.5 years payback. It's a modest capital, about $230 million, and we're doing some engineering work to refine that. It's low cost. It's $36 a pound. The unique nature of the mineralisation that it sits at surface to only 5 metres deep. It's within the weathered granite. It's free dig, so there's no drilling and blasting, and it beneficiates with simple screening to a very high-grade uranium product going to the process plant, circa sort of 1800 ppm, which is sort of equivalent to underground uranium grades, but we're mining from 5 metres of the surface. It's fully licensed. The government's been very supportive in getting our licences through. We're putting the team together to execute on the project, and we're aiming to deliver funding at the end of this year and go into production in 2027. So we'll be one of the next new greenfields uranium projects to come onto market. But we also think that's the start. The project is scalable. The mineralisation is close to surface. It's easy to mine. With more capital, we can expand the output, and then there's a significant exploration opportunity both around the project and more regionally, which we'll have a look at. We'll just hit on the highlights. It's a sort of a hub and spoke project. You can see the resources are sort of spread out. So we have a centralised processing facility with mining units at the various deposits over time. We're starting only at 2 deposits for the first 3 years, and then we'll move some of the mining down to the next one, and then in year 7 we'll move around. So it progressively moves through the deposits. At each mining area there's a beneficiation circuit, which is essentially a scrubber and a screen. We've done over 1,000 test work samples to demonstrate the beneficiation characteristics of the ore, but we essentially just screen the material to sub 75 micron. 91% of the uranium goes to 13% of the mass. So you're upgrading in in situ grade, which is around 250 ppm to 1800 life of mine, but in the first 10 years it's over 2000 ppm. So very high grade to a very small 500,000 tonne per annum alkaline leach process circuit. And that technology has been employed by Paladin at Langer Heinrich in Namibia. Because the ore is very shallow, it's easily accessible, there's very low strip ratio. We're only mining 7 million tonnes of total material and 4 million tonnes of ore a year. So any mineralisation we identify in the area will most likely become economic pretty quickly. And look, we'll focus on the upside. So, this is just the start. Tiris is the start at 25 years at 2 million pounds. You can see the radiometrics, the background images, the radiometrics, and the colours signify the intensity of the radiometric signal, which indicates the presence of radioactive minerals. The dark stripes, northeast, southwest stripes are the sand dunes. So any burial of the mineralisation masks the radiometric signal. Historically, we've been focused on the really intense red areas, and you can see there's one at the top left-hand corner that's under application, but that's the blue areas. So what we did recently in 2022 is we did the red drilling areas, so we expanded the footprint of the drilling. We expanded the resource by 55% at the same grade, so the mineralisation is more pervasive than shown in the intensity of the signal, and there's lots of radiometric anomalies that haven't been drilled. So we think that basically we'll keep expanding that resource there, and if you look at the economics are so strong that if you don't put any constraints on the classification of the mineralisation, most of that will fall into an economic mining proposition sometime in the future. And because it's shallow, the exploration costs are very low. We're doing 6-metre air core holes. So we're finding this mineralisation, including all the studies to date, for 20 cents a pound. and the uranium price is $80 a pound US. And more regionally, the green tenements are applications, the red blobs are the really high radiometric highs. There's very, very extensive radiometric anomalism over that whole northern Mauritanian region. It's underlined by granite. That's the source of the uranium. It's a calcrete-hosted uranium mineralisation. In the middle of the slide, Umfakik, is 15 million pounds we've defined by drilling. Same style of mineralisation as we're seeing at Terrace East. So we believe Terrace East will be the start, and then there'll be multiple other mines and production centres found over time. Busy last 18 months by the team. We've got a very, very dedicated team that focused very, very much on getting this project up and putting it into production. And yes, this is Sahara drill rig, Bo, thank you. So, over the last 18 months, we've increased the resource by 55%. We've increased the reserves. We've improved the NPV significantly, 29% to 500 million. Mine life extended to 25 years. We did some studies to show that actually there's a big economic benefit by increasing the scale of the process plant. We're sort of capital constrained at the moment, but if we go from £2 million to £4 million in year 3 funded through cash flow, there's a very, very significant economic benefit to do that, and we'll have the resource base to do that. And what we'll do when we start the project is infill the drilling and increase the confidence of the resources such that we can support that next investment decision. We've secured water for the project. It's sort of 150 kilometres to the south in a sedimentary basin. All the licences are put in place. We've built a team to develop the project. We've still got to build more of the team, but we've established a very good Mauritanian team in country, run by Mauritanians, very, very skilled and competent people in that team. And we've started the funding process. The next critical thing for our business is how do you fund $250 to $300 million of capital for uranium project. We've secured some offtake with US utilities as well. I'll talk about the funding in a sec because that's the key. In funding, we have to, we've had a look at the market. We've advanced very strongly with the US government, the Development Finance Court, the DFC. Their mandate is to, with debt funding, develop development projects in developing countries that have a benefit to US. So obviously some of the product will have to go to the US. We've progressed quite well. We're moving through their processes. Their ESIA, which is a requirement posted on the public comment on the websites, that posting period's finished, and we're moving towards getting into their credit decision by the end of the year. We're also looking at some strategic investment opportunities, so potentially sell down a portion of the asset to a technical partner. That in combination with the debt, we would like to deliver a fully funded project and not have to rely on the market too much. And the project execution and the engineering is continuing. Probably start some early works, but essentially we're trying to the aim is to have funding sort of wrapped up by the end of the year and start development next year and be in production in 2027. So in summary, nuclear power, uranium's got a very strong global thematic that supports the energy transition. Very high quality project at Terrace as it currently stands, strong economics, long life, low cost because of the mineralisation being so close to surface. But that's only the start. There's expandability, there's a regional opportunity in Mauritania to find multiple discoveries. And, also with our other asset in Sweden, we've got a very, very large uranium inventory. And so we should be quite well leveraged to the uranium price. Thank you.